Hello beautiful ladies, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about why it's okay to love America.
I can already tell it's gonna be some whitewashed revisionist bullshit. Like, I can already feel it.
Fact, my teeth hurt and my breasts ache with rage.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Almost Yellow here. So, the domination is currently 153 subscribers deep. Thank y'all so much for subscribing. We're just gonna keep growing steady, slow but steady, slow but steady. We're gonna get there, gonna get there, gonna get there. Now, if you haven't been here before and it's your first time here on my channel, hi, how are you? My name is Almost Yellow. I do videos every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Sometimes I can get Fridays too. I do like song covers and I do make tutorials and I do like commentary. So if you like someone who's kind of like a, I don't want to say a jack of all trades, but just like very bubbly, very talkative and bilingual, you should definitely subscribe, like this video, share with your friends and subscribe. Leave comments down below. Tell me what you think of this video, of the commentary I'm going to do. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's all be friends. I always want us all to be friends. Okay, let's begin. So today I'm going to be reacting and correcting, honestly, as well, a video by Classically Abby called "It's Okay for You to Love America." The video is like 7 minutes long, so I'm just gonna already guess that she's not gonna mention anything about Native American genocide or American slavery or all the exclusion acts that were against various immigrants at some point in time in this country. I bet my whole left titty she'll mention none of that. None of it.
I put my mother on the line. I'll never again if this bitch doesn't get scared and run away.
As we come up on July 4th, I want to talk about why it's okay to love America. Because I think nowadays, when there's a lot of strife going on in our country, it can feel like a crime to love America. And I want to say why it's okay to love America, even if we think there are things that need to change.
I've never heard anyone say that it's not okay to love America. There are a lot of good things about present day America, I would say, versus, like, you know, it's the 1800s, let's say, in the 1600s, before I was even actually America. And she said, if you think these changes, like, if we think they're changes need to be made, like, if, I mean, it would be maybe more helpful for you to acknowledge the fact that maybe some of us don't feel, we don't identify with 4th of July and we don't really feel seen with that holiday, because on July 4th of 1776, my ancestors were still living plantations, okay? So for me personally, as an African American, June is more of an important holiday for me and my culture, my community. I mean, we just like to have the days off. Like literally any black person, especially black American people, like you take July 4th off to be with your family and like cook out. It's not only to be patriotic. I mean, I guess you can if you want to, but it's more so to spend time with your family. There's no really like, oh yeah, like me out and like, oh, it's so exciting. Nope.
The first thing I want to talk about is that America was founded on great principles. I'm not going to get into the whole history of America because anything I say in a short video is not going to give enough credit to our founders and to our history to really be in-depth enough to explain why we came into being. But we were founded as a country to give independence, freedom, and liberty to the people who lived here.
Bitch, what? She said this country was founded to give freedom to people who lived here. Like, you mean the Native Americans, the American Indians. If your version of freedom is stealing their land and giving them smallpox, then yeah, sure, you gave freedom to people who lived here. Like, okay. Like, what a preposterous statement. Like,
we were founded with the idea that we were going to give liberty to the people, give power to the people, that the people were going to have a say in their government.
And if by And if by the phrase a government by the people, if you mean by the people as in land-owning white men, then yeah, sure, the American founding fathers made a country to be governed by the people.
The people were going to have a say in their government, and that we would have a true democracy where the people were voting for what they wanted, where the government couldn't have too much power because it was divided into 3 separate branches.
Does she think that no one has like Google or like textbooks? Like a government where the people could vote for what they wanted. Yeah, sure, everyone legally can vote now in 2020, but it wasn't always like that. Let me even just, I'll link it down below this article. Let me go down like a list of everyone's vote. With the Declaration of Independence in 1776, only white men who owned land that were male Protestants over the age of 21 could vote. You see a timeline of both like citizenship and voting rights, so because of course both things are very intertwined. So let's see, 1790, only white men can become citizens and vote. So the 1790 naturalization law passed explicitly states that only free white immigrants can become naturalized citizens. No issues. This is 1828, 1848. Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ends, and the Mexican-American War and guarantees citizenship to Mexicans living in the territories conquered by the U.S. However, English language requirements and violent intimidation limit access to voting rights. Yep. They don't have to get into that. Like, yeah, I was legally able to do stuff, but then the people were chased away and intimidated not to vote. You have 1868, where the 14th Amendment was passed, which gave slaves, so like my ancestors, the right to gay citizenship was defined and granted to former slaves. Voters, however, are explicitly defined as male. So that's great. Only at this point, only African American men can vote. Like, that's just peachy. That's just peachy. And then there's the 15th Amendment that passed in 1870 that says vote cannot be denied because of race explicitly. So other discriminatory tactics used. Like, they don't talk about this because I know I've heard some conservative white women be like, oh yeah, well, black people got the right to vote before we did. I'm looking like, I mean, technically, like, if we go back again, it was only said only men could vote. So technically only African American men that were former slaves got the right to vote in 1870. But then again, so states that the right to vote could not be denied by federal or state governments based on race. That's per the 15th Amendment. Okay, however, some states began enacting measures such as voting taxes and literacy tests. Voting taxes and literacy tests that restrict the actual ability of African Americans to register vote. So also other violence and intimidation tactics were used as well. So they can legally technically vote, but are they really able to physically? Bigger question. So in 1876, Indigenous people cannot vote. So the Supreme Court rules that Native Americans are not citizens as defined by the 14th Amendment and thus cannot vote. How? 1882, Chinese cannot be American. The Chinese Exclusion Act bars people of Chinese ancestry from naturalizing as U.S. citizens. Based on what exactly? Nothing. Act grants citizenship to Native Americans who give up their tribal affiliations. It's just evil, man.
People must apply for citizenship. The Indian Naturalization Act grants citizenship to Native Americans whose applications are approved, similar to the process of the immigrant naturalization program. So you mean they're already living here, and they are living here. You stole their land, stole their traditions, killed most of the population here, and they have to get naturalized. They're immigrants. Like they're the. You know what? I'm gonna say this right now. The founding fathers are legal immigrants. Okay, they're legal immigrants.
So basically, Native Americans who served in the military during World War I were granted U.S. citizenship. What? Again, all they have is the fucking audacity. So you're telling me the people that were already here, that you took the land from, they want to become naturalized to become citizens that can vote, and then 2, they have to vote. They have to either do that or be part of the military by this country that they don't even want to be a part of, that y'all stole from them. This is insane. This is insane.
And then 1920, the right to vote was sent to women through the 19th Amendment. Of course, we know that, but that was only for white women. White women. 2. Supreme Court rules that people of Japanese heritage are ineligible to become naturalized citizens. The next year, it finds that Asian Indians are also ineligible to naturalize.
In 1924, we have the Indian Citizenship Act grants citizenship to Native Americans, but many states nonetheless make laws and policies that prohibit Native Americans from voting. Until we get to 1952, McCarran-Walter Act grants all people of Asian ancestry the right to become citizens. 1965, the Civil Rights Voting Act passed, and it forbids states from imposing discriminatory restrictions on who can vote and provides mechanisms from the federal government to enforce provisions. So now, all racial minorities can vote. Everyone can vote from across all races, across religions, above 21.
And those are wonderful principles, and principles that we should be proud to be a part of, that we believe that everyone was created equal and that we all deserve the freedom to make choices.
But to think that only for less than a quarter, only about 50% of the time that America's in the country, that everyone can vote and be part of the government and be part of this process. And then literally, it was legal for them to tell people that are Chinese or people that are Indian that they can't be Americans. That even people that were born here, so people that were born here, the Americans had to work for years and years to earn citizenship. And you want to think about how we're all equal, and it's this is not true. People have had so many struggles to get these rights that they have today. It's not, it hasn't been fair, it hasn't been equal.
Being an American is like being in a marriage. If you love your husband, if you love your spouse, that doesn't mean that you don't see their flaws and you don't want to help them be better. It means that you have to love them first before you start making changes. You can't change something that you hate. And if you love America, then you can make it better.
Metaphor of loving America like marriage is interesting. I'm gonna explain why. So I think it's gonna be different for different people. So I feel like marriage is like a conscientious decision between 2 people. Can how many people get married? I think most of it's only 2 people so far. Do they have polyamory weddings? Or polyamorous marriages? I'll put a pin in that. Basically what I'm gonna say is marriage is between 2 people that make a conscious decision, okay, they're gonna live their lives together, they're gonna bring together all their monies and all their property, and legally, what's mine is theirs, what theirs is mine. It could be 2 women, 2 men, 1 man, 1 woman, all 1 person, gender non-binary, 1 female, 1, get my drift. So, but the thing I want to say is that it's a conscious decision. So, I get there are people here who are naturalized citizens who came from another country. And I've met all those people, and they're awesome. Okay, they're awesome. And I do feel very blessed and happy to have been able to meet people from all over the world who want to come here for opportunities. And I think that is amazing. But again, that was their conscientious decision. You get what I'm getting here? So, someone like myself, who's African American, who is like a 4th or 5th generation descendant from the slaves that were working plantations down in, I believe, Georgia and Alabama, where it's both my family sides are from, where they were at before the Great Migration. So it's it wasn't really that much of a conscientious choice for us because, because of systemic barriers, they never gave African Americans 40 acres and a mule. So I didn't, we've constantly inherited this generational poverty. So it's hard to move anywhere else, even if I wanted to. Well, actually, I do. I want to go to Spain. They hadn't even talked there. I am Spanish, so I feel like that would be dope. Either Spain or Canada. Maybe the UK. No, for you. Maybe.
There are certain people who say we have flaws that go way too far in one direction, and there are people who say that we have flaws that go way in the other direction. And I'm not talking about overhauling what this country stands for. I'm saying there are things that we can fix in this country, and there are things that we should go back to what our founders originally meant.
There are things we can go back to? Like, where exactly are we going back to, Abby? We're going back to what? 1989, when people with disabilities couldn't like get on trains without wearing diapers? Before the Disability Act was passed to give them nominations for public places? We're going back to before 1965, before people could vote. We're going back to the 1950s, where the segregation was legal, separate but equal. That was bullshit. Are we going back to 1950s, where we can have gay shock therapy conversion? We're going back to like what, 1860? So we're back in slavery. 1821, the Trail of Tears, where people were forced off their lands to, Native Americans were forced off their lands to go to the areas of the U.S. that the U.S. government didn't want for their new white settlers. Like, what are we going back to? I want to know that. Right now, what are we going back to? What is so great in the past that we want to bring to this future? Like, I really want to know.
America is a beautiful country that we are lucky to live in, and we are lucky to have that freedom and liberty. I'm proud to be an American because America stands for freedom. It does.
To acknowledge the fact that I am grateful to have the First Amendment to be able to dissent against the government and to listen to people like I disagree with, or that I talk to people I do agree with, and not be taken to jail. Hopefully.
We live in a place of opportunity. Equal opportunity, not equal outcome.
There is not equal opportunity in this country. Like, there is still tons of housing discrimination, job discrimination, a lot of barriers in education, especially public education. Like, there's so many things we can go into that are still currently problem of food deserts in a lot of lower income communities. You have issues of public transportation. Some days public transportation not being just enough to help people get to their jobs. People not being able to afford cars. People are going to be able to get by because wages are not keeping up with inflation. So there isn't really an equality of opportunity. A lot of people are disadvantaged.
Founders built this country with freedom and liberty in mind, and they were patriots who fought for what we have today. Our founding fathers are constantly being torn down nowadays, figuratively and literally, but I think it's important to talk about their similarity to Bible characters, in the sense of, in the Torah, which is the Old Testament, many of the people were not perfect.
You know, let's think first, why, girl, like, where's our critical thinking caps? So let's think, why do people want to tear down buildings or statues, buildings of our founding fathers? I mean, is it because they hate America? No. Is it because founding fathers are racist? Yeah, like, a lot of them own slaves. Tried to eliminate Native Americans that weren't living here.
It's not very difficult to understand why people want to erase those memories as we try to build towards a more equal and more equitable society for all people. Or just white people. Well, this Bible character thing, like, this is, I don't know, it's just weird.
Forefathers were great men who were flawed, who made bad choices, who made mistakes, and still were able to come back from it, and still were able to do great things. And it's a lesson for us. If our forefathers were perfect, then we would look at them and think we could never accomplish anything great. We could never be better than who we are. And that's the whole point, that people and humans aren't perfect. Our forefathers accomplished great things, and they may have done evils as well. And it's not to downplay that they did evils, but it's to recognize that they did great things too. Just like we today can make bad choices and still come back and do great things.
I mean, like, the false equivalency here is just astounding. It's astounding. Like, they made mistakes and bad decisions. Let's see. Let's just make some lists here. So, bad decisions that most people make, I think, across life. So, let's see. Maybe spending too much money, eating too much food, credit card debt, maybe like marrying the wrong person / staying in a relationship too long. The sins of our forefathers, their bad decisions were giving Native Americans smallpox, forcing them off their land to reservations that lacked resources, enslaving people from Africa, where a lot of them died on the 20% of them died on the journey to the New World, beating them, systemic oppression of people of all different races. Like, oh yeah, these two are very similar. These are basically the same thing. Like, are you kidding me? They're just bad decisions. Like, these bad decisions change the course of history and change the course of the world history. And anyone really be that dense to believe that we can just somehow brush over slavery and genocide as a bad decision? Like, is that really what we're doing today? Like, really, so we're doing 2020? Like, really? Like, it's just disgusting. It's disgusting. I'm just saying it.
Our founders fought for a country that stood for freedom and liberty. And it's okay to love our country for what it stands for. So I'm telling you, this week before July 4th, before Independence Day, it's okay to love America.
That's the end of it. Okay, so we finally got through that. That was painful. I mean, I just feel like it's just this whole video is very intellectually dishonest and honestly frankly very lazy. Like, are you gonna actually talk about ways that this country is equal for everybody? Because it is on paper, sure. Legally now things are not. It's not legal to discriminate against people based on race and various gender, various other things explicitly, but there are still problems and loops in the system that still makes that happen for certain peoples. And just I swear, in her world, people of color don't exist, neither do queer people, what about us? What are those struggles that they've had to face in this country? But I don't know if she even knows about any of that. I know she was trying, as someone who, and maybe I am very critical because I am someone who does love history, and then two, as someone who is saying you want to you're a conservative influencer, you want to bring more millennials, maybe Gen Z, more women to conservatism, but you don't show any interest for minorities in this country. You don't even acknowledge the history and the pain that a lot of people feel from the legacies of colonialism. You don't, you even mention it in your video. You didn't even mention about Native American genocide or about slavery and how that has changed this country, how it's changed country and how it's changed. Even our genetics are different because of this trauma that's passed on from generations. There's no mention of that. So I don't get the point of this, just to make these cute little videos, just kind of whitewashed. Oh yeah, it's very rose-colored, a very rose-colored description of America, and it's crap. And I don't know how you're gonna try to change people's minds without even looking at why they're upset or why they want these changes, and just trying to make these weird false equivalencies and constant straw mans is just not doing it. I'm not here for it. It's just, it's just lazy, it's just disingenuous. Couldn't be me, sis. Could not be me. But I guess whatever gets you paid, though.
Ooh, that was shady. But that's the end of this video. Now, if you like my content, you can go ahead and like this video, share with your friends, subscribe, leave me comments down below on what you want me to cover next. Also, if you want to keep up with me in my daily life, I spend all my time on IG pretty much, so you can follow me on IG at @TheDomDiggity. And yeah, until next time, I hope you have an awesome day.